Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Finding Asheville podcast with Nathan Miller.
So what was it about cooking that you fell in love with it?
It would be hard to place that on one thing. I really liked working with. I think it was the creative process. Working with raw materials was exciting to me. I think that in the beginning, I couldn't even tell you what specifically excited me. I mean, I'll take it back to when I was 9 years old, and I insisted that my mom taught me how to fry an egg.
Yeah.
And I would be like, or standing there saying she was really big on the casseroles, and we'd be going to potlucks for these events or that events, when I was younger. And I'm like, I want to learn how to make this casserole for this event. And I took a lot of pride in it. And, so I think it was just, there was something in there about the fabrication of the process, because there wasn't like a lot of nice cooking going on at the house. It was, can of mushroom soup, bag of tater tots, I mean, that kind of construction of food. But I don't know specifically. I think there was definitely a turning point for me where I recognized the opportunity to be able to travel and live anywhere that I wanted to in the world and be able to get by if I knew how to cook food. That was definitely an exciting thought to me, and that drove me to many points all over the country. And it's enhanced my travel experiences as well. So that was a big one for me. I think the other was just kind of getting to the source of flavor. And once I figured out, the excitement that can happen on palate and what's balanced and what's not, and, really started honing in. And this was later in my career. This didn't happen right away. It just got more and more exciting. It's like the more that I learned, the more excited I got. I never was daunted by the fact that the more I learn, the more I don't know. I mean, that was absolutely the case. But that didn't stop me. Those were not barriers to me.
Well, I can tell you're from the Midwest because you're the one of, I think, 3 chefs now out of all the ones that I've interviewed that gave your mom a small shout out. Usually these Southern chefs are attributing their grandmother to cooking. So
Absolutely, and I can say I will attest to that too. I mean, I have married a Southern woman, and her family can cook. It's pretty exciting. So you're right. We, Grandpa and Grandma had the garden, and I guess it's kind of a piece of the Luella story and why the nod to her for the restaurant in the beginning was they had this huge garden and were canning all the time and going that route. I think that got cut off in my mom's generation, and that's which makes sense, historically speaking too, because that's when all the convenient food started hitting the supermarket. Yeah. And so it's just what was available at the time, and you're feeding a family of 4 on this kind of budget, et cetera. I get it. But if you take it back to Grandma and Grandpa, it was, strawberries, rhubarb, turnips, all kinds of cool stuff just coming out of the garden all the time, pride in tomatoes. And so that, I feel like for some reason there was more I've sensed since living in the South for the past, I guess in total, probably almost 20 years. It's like there's some sort of pride in keeping those recipes alive in the family tradition. And that got lost in a lot of families. We got lost in families everywhere, but you're right. In particular to the Midwest, for some reason, food was more of a I don't know. It wasn't a point of pride. It was more of an obligation.